necesita falarme, que es lo que tengo que decir.
What is this?
It's taco rice with avocado and spicy milk.
That's good.
This is taco rice with avocado and beans, chili beans.
This one is home taco with egg and meat, some kind of meat. What is this?
It's that taco rice with chili beans.
Bacon and mozzarella.
Yes, I have already started, yeah.
Okay, I'm Juan Carlos. I'm living here by 8 months.
Okay.
I would like to talk about the taco rice because it's a very interesting dish. Maybe for the Mexicans, it's the most important thing in the culture, the food. We have a lot of rituals in the food, and we have a deep relation with the food. Here in Okinawa, I discovered the taco rice, and I love it because first the name is related to Mexico, but there aren't any elements in the taco rice related to Mexico. And there are different things like the rice, and the rice is from Asia. There are yellowish cheese, and in Mexico we call the yellowish cheese American cheese, USA cheese. And
So in Australia they call it plastic cheese, do you know?
plastic cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we don't feel natural. It's too artificial.
Yeah, it's completely artificial.
Yeah. And when you eat taco rice in Okinawa, there are a lot of how could I say, without chili. And one of the most important elements in the Mexican food is the chili, is the spicy meal. Mm-hmm. And in the tacos, the most important element is the corn. So we use tortilla. We used to make something with the corn, a flat bread, like a flat bread, and we put all the things in that kind of flat bread, and that's a taco. But this meal don't have tortilla, don't have spicy, and don't have the other elements of Mexican food. In Mexico, we call Tex-Mex style food. So it's for me it's very interesting because it shows how the Mexican people migrated to the U.S. So we have a close relation with the United States, and now there are a lot of Mexicans in the United States. The people migrated without papers, and in this moment there are sons, grandchildren, and a lot of them live in the United States without documents. And they have a lot of fear to be deported from the United States. So they don't want to return to Mexico because it's very difficult to enter to the United States another time. So they are living for a lot of years without documents in illegal situation. And they are losing their own Mexican identity. So their sons and the grandchildren of them have another behavior, have another relation with that identity. And one of the opportunities to get the papers and to be in law in the United States is to join to the U.S. Army.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's one of the opportunities. So if you join the U.S. Army and you are Mexican in the United States, maybe you are going to fly to Okinawa, and maybe you are going to live here. So that's one of the situations that the taco rice is very interesting for me, because it shows how the Mexican people get into the United States, and at the same time it's related to the Okinawan life. So and it's also interesting because at the same time the taco rice is one of the most popular dishes in Okinawa. So for me also show how the Okinawans people is turning on. So it's becoming like there are a lot of local flavors in the dish. So there is the rice, and there is the another kind of elements related to that Okinawan style. And the Okinawese people use a lot of English words in Japanese. So it's another transitional behavior. So I feel the Okinawese people are making their own identity related to the American look. So maybe it's a very similar relation that the Mexican people have with the US. Because after the Second World War, the Okinawans, the Ryukyu culture, was occupied by the Americans. And they have a contradictory relation, because they feel occupied in some side of the relation, and in the other side, it's a positive relation, because I don't know how to say, because it's a convenient relation. For the Mexicans, the relation with the United States, it's also a convenient relation with a lot of contradictions. So I feel the taco rice reflects the both situations. So that's why I like to talk about the taco rice.
About taco rice. So is it really similar to taco, or it's just like the same name, like sharing the same name, right?
It's just a name.
It's just a name, right?
Just a name.
But
So
there is some similarity, like the lettuce, the way that you put the lettuce. There is something that reminds you, and maybe the meat, it reminds you of Tex-Mex. So if you can see the taco, some interpretation of taco there. But if you see a real live taco, it doesn't look at all like taco rice. But there is something.
There are something salty in the flavor
Yeah.
that make me remember the Mexican food, but I feel that flavor is in a lot of dishes. So it's not
Yeah.
a Mexican dish for that reason. So maybe in this moment I'm eating an avocado taco rice, but it's not the most common. So do you know there are sushi taco rice? So
Yeah.
you could eat a sushi with a taco rice into that sushi. So
Yeah. You're right.
So when you talked about flavor, so it reminds you like Mexican food, or not at all?
no,
Not at all.
no. Only the name and the relation in the Okinawan island with the United States, and the relation that the Mexican people have with the United States.
So it's kind of interesting that you are living here right now, right? And there is a strong influence of American culture to Okinawa, and your home country, Mexico, is located just next to the U.S., right? So still there is like a strong influence, right, from American culture to your home country, or not? How do you feel that? So,
Mexico is very big, so there are different kind of grades and of that relation. So in the north, obviously there are a lot of things that we share with the United States, and the south of the United States, it's very similar to the north of Mexico. So that frontier have a lot of elements sharing in their culture, in their meal, in their style of life. So in the cowboy life, for example, there are similar relations with the territory, but in the south or in the center of Mexico, we have a very different behavior and very different identities. So in the center or in the south of Mexico, we don't have relation with that culture of frontiers.
so it means like people living in the north of Mexico, they mostly like America or they don't like, you know. So being close into America for Mexicans, it means like to like that or to don't like.
There are a lot of people who like North America with double passport, for example, and there are a lot of people who hate North America. So we have a lot of difference in some point, because the United States is richness than Mexico, and you could feel it in the frontier. There are a lot of poverty in our frontier, and that people is looking for a best life. So a lot of people who live in the frontier, one of the dreams is to get into the United States in some point. So it's I don't know how to say, but we could say it's an unfair relation, because we have a trade, for example, a commercial trade, but we don't have the right to get into the United States. So only for the big people, not the big people, the richness people could get into the United States without problems with a visa, but the poorer people, they don't have the right to migrate to the United States, and they have to live their own identity, because in some point, when the people is living in the United States, without relation with the Mexican country, with the Mexican daily life, and they are losing some kind of things, and relations with their family, relations with the land, relations with the customs, and the people who have passport all the years travel to Mexico at the end of the year for the Christmas parties and the other kind of parties of the town, for example, of the saint of the town, or the 3rd of May festivities in Mexico, because a lot of that people is countrymen. So how do you say campesinos?
Farmers.
Farmers. A lot of them are farmers. So they have a lot of customs about the rainy time, for example, and they need to visit their own land in some point of the year, and only that the people have a passport or a visa could make that.
Okay. For how long have you already been living in Okinawa?
I have been here by 8 months. I came in my sabbatical to join my wife because she got a position as a student. For me, it's a great opportunity because Japan is one of the most important countries for the photography world. So I would like to be here to learn something about Japanese photo books.
So it means you do some photography, or
Yeah, I'm a photographer.
that's cool. And okay, if we go to next question, so how do you think for locals? So if you had a chance to speak with them, so what is the most important for them, for local people, for Okinawan people?
I don't speak with a lot of Okinawanese people, but for example, I feel that the base is one of the most important things in the daily life along the history. So after the Second World War, maybe it's one of the most important elements in the daily life for the Okinawanese people. So I feel that they have a contradictory relation with that because in some point they feel secure with the base and insecure at the same time because the base it could provide some safety from the North Korea behavior or intentions, and maybe China too. So, but in the other side, they feel the occupation at the same time, and it's too hard occupation. In the first years, it was very, very strong situation.
So what about Mexico? Do you have any American bases on your territory?
No,
No. So would you accept to have bases on your territory?
we don't accept because we have a lot of proud. We are very proud of our sovereignty. Soberanía, ¿cómo se llama? We are very proud of our country. We are a nationalist. Almost all the Mexicans is nationalist. So we don't want to have bases there. But we have a lot of relation with the American people. So, but maybe the common people, they don't know what kind of relations do we have with them, because the DEI work in Mexico. So, and we know because there are a lot of DEA policemen dying in Mexico. But if we don't know about the die, we couldn't know. So, and in the other side we have an special thing in the trade that we are sharing the space with the United States for something like umbrella escudo, ¿cómo dices?
Shield.
Shield, an umbrella shield, because they take the U.S. Take care about the space of Mexico.
Yeah, the border, right?
No, all the country.
Oh, okay.
Not the border. So the the strategy of the United States to have a safety relations. So I don't know how to say in English, but it's a shield to take care about the missiles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it goes all over Mexico, the
Yeah.
airspace of Mexico.
Yeah.
So the United States could just fly it, like the military.
Satellite. It's a satellite.
So they can just survey you,
Yeah.
see what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a satellite strategy.
So, if we talk about you living here, so did something bad happen, right? Something what you didn't like in Okinawa?
No. I like a lot. I like a lot.
So
And
you mean
I-
like you have only positive emotions about Okinawa, right?
Yeah, in this moment, yes. Yeah, I feel something about the Japanese people is strict in some points, but I like to that thing. We are not too strict in the daily life.
So if we talk about something good, what happened to you? So okay. So maybe just from your experience, so what is like the most, like the best thing which happened to you in Okinawa?
The best thing
Yeah,
in Okinawa,
yeah.
in special, I feel safety because it's a safety country.
Like
I-
every day is,
Yeah, I could leave the car open. I could leave my things in the table, and nobody is going to steal them.
it's not the same in Mexico, right?
No.
Okay. So, if there is a chance to change something in the lifestyle of local people, what would you change?
I think a cultural life, it could be more richness, because I feel there are a lot of local things, and that's nice. Maybe it's because they have the relation with the Americans in the island, and they have to improve their own identity, and that's nice. But the Okinawese people have a lot of tools, and they speak English and have a good structure to receive another kind of things like international festivals. And I feel there are not a big festival of cinema, for example, in Asia. I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying the truth, but it could be a very good place to make a festival, because in Okinawa there are the structure to support the tourists, and there are a lot of people speaking English. It's a very nice place with very nice landscapes and a very nice sea. So maybe it's a very good space to make some festivals about cinema, photography, or other kind of things.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, really. Like it's probably a perfect place, right, for
Yeah.
festivals.
Yeah.
And summer is very long, right? So you can organize from like May till November, and it's going to be like summer, right?
Yeah. I knew a city in Brazil, and in the year we have 54 weeks. So if you see the schedule for the festivals in that city of Brazil, there are 52 festivals. 52.
Wow.
There are only 2 weeks without festivals.
Wow.
So you could have in that town, a very little town near to Rio de Janeiro in the south, a very richness life with a lot of different kinds of offer, cinema, literature, poetry, in all different items also. So maybe this is the best place in Asia.
So Okinawa is not very like industrial part of Japan. So I mean, there are not like many factories, right? And most of the contribution to economy is just like farming, tourism. So what would you change? Like if you have so about developing Okinawa, you have already told about festivals, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to improve economy, right?
Yeah, maybe it's the best. Well, because I'm a cultural actor, that's my way. So, but I see a lot of mines in the north and different kind of things in the port. They have a good port in the other part of the island.
I see.
So,
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Well done. Okay, so on a personal and a more superficial level, I like Japan in the organized things and the very cute things and like this. I don't know that they're not embarrassed at all of using little drawings for absolutely everything, which I like very much. So, but this is pointing to like something a bit more interesting to me, and I think that the way that they see femininity and masculinity is quite different from what we do at least in Latin American countries, and I think in general in Western countries. So it's quite interesting to see that it's super okay for men to use makeup and to look very feminine to us, but at the same time you feel that there is a lot of sexism here, and that you have this very hierarchical organization of you go to the doctor and then the doctor is male and all the little small and quiet helpers are female, and usually that's the structure that you see repeating and that you see in women being much more nice and paying attention to what you need and what you like, whereas men don't tend to be like that. So I don't know, I find it conflicting. And yeah, and it makes me feel like maybe I wouldn't be that comfortable living here, but at the same time, I do like very much the way that the femininity and masculinity is much more flexible here.
So you mean like the work process is organized much better than in Mexico, right? Like in science and research, it's better, or it's only better in some, like at some points, right? Or
I think it's better in some points.
At
It's
some
not
points.
in general better. So it's much better that you have all this organization, right? And it's good that people are so careful with all the details and that are following the instructions. That's good. But then I think that's a bit limiting when you're trying to do something creative, when you're trying to do something different or to find other solutions. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily better, but I think it leads you to more systematic results, probably.
so what about what is like the largest problem in research in Mexico? Like what is like the main problem there for research institutes? Like do they experience like lack of funding or lack of like high qualified researchers or?
That there are no high qualified people, and I think that Mexico benefits a lot from where it is in the world, having the States so close and Europe kind of close. So you have many people wanting to go to Mexico and wanting to go to conference because it's also like, let's go travel to Mexico. So high quality is not a problem. A problem in Mexico is funding, that researchers are treated as, I don't know, like workers that don't deserve to be paid enough. And you have, you have very low-paid teachers in universities, high-qualified teachers, and they're not paid enough. And then when you're trying to do research, it's not that easy to get big funding or to like have enough resources to follow your ideas, and I think that's a problem.
So you mentioned about sexism, right?
Yeah.
In Japan. So you think it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, but in future, how much time it should take for Japan to resolve this problem, like to make equal rights between women and men?
I think, yeah, I think it's gonna take a long, long time, really. So I actually thought before coming here that we were like Latin America was like the worst place, that this like women have don't have enough rights and so on. But in Latin America, we are aware that this is a problem and is publicly aware. Whereas here, I don't think it's publicly accepted yet. So it's even so that I think Japan is not even in that stage in which there is a problem being recognized.
So they didn't recognize the problem yet, right? So I mean, like Japanese, they didn't recognize the problem, right?
Yeah, I don't think that it's fully recognized.
Okay.
So I saw a documentary the other day about a woman that was raped by a potential boss, a guy in power. And it was very clear that it happened, but then the way that the media took her case was like outrageous because nobody speaks about it. It's like common culture that okay, if you get drunk, it's like giving consent. If you're not basically screaming and fighting, then you're giving consent. And then you could see interviews of the guy, the rapist, being like so apologetic, like, yeah, but what's so wrong that you know what you have to do, right? So I don't think that would be acceptable in Latin America because we know that this is a problem. Although it happens, at least we know that this is not okay. And then it was groundbreaking here in Japan. It was like, yeah, so it's gonna take a long time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But in general, like, are there any other serious problems in Japan you found, or no?
I'm not so sure. I don't know. That's the problem that concerns me the most. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a problem that there is not enough room for being creative and like cracking your individuality. But I don't think that that's a real problem. It's just a different way of being part of a society, and that's okay. It has its pros and its cons. There must be other big problems, but I just don't know.
Yes. Okay. Okay. If you have a chance to live in Okinawa forever, would you accept this opportunity?
Yes, I agree.
Why?
Because all the people, maybe not all the people, but a lot of people have this dream to live in the beach. But when you visit the beaches from the other countries, you are not going to have enough structure and support to making a good life. So you are going to have a lot of problems. But Okinawa led you to fly to different parts in very easy way. So it's near from different parts of the world, and it could be a very good place to live there.
So basically, if you have a chance to work here, right? So it would be like the best place in the world, or?
Maybe not the best.
Not the best one. Okay.
I like a lot of. I like a lot Colombia, for example, and I like a lot Cuba, for example. But I think it's a very, very good place.
So it's kind of acceptable, right?
It's more than acceptable.
More than acceptable.
It's more than acceptable.
Okay. It was Juan Carlos from Mexico.
Yeah, Juan Carlos from Mexico.
It was nice to talk with you.
Thank you, Alexei.